Andrew, thank you very much for taking the time to join me for a coffee with the editor. Our topic today, as it was last week, is on the recent announcement with regard to South Africa's economic recovery plan made by the president. You're obviously a manufacturer. This is probably very good news for you.
I think it's excellent news, as long as this time the promises that are made are carried through.
Because you've been down this road before.
We've been hearing this for many years, that this sort of opening up of the lines will happen, but it hasn't come through as yet. And we are starting to see it in other parts of Africa, and as a result, we've been able to export South African-made railway wagons to countries like Mozambique, Zambia, and Tanzania, but as yet haven't been able to sell wagons in our actual home country.
Okay, and that's quite interesting because, I mean, you've been manufacturing wagons in South Africa for a good couple of decades.
Yes, we have. Our customers in South Africa are, in fact, the few private rail operators in South Africa, which mostly include the larger mines where they send the ore that comes up from the various mining shafts by rail to central processing shafts. But these are not public-private railways. These are purely private railway operations. But what we found is that in almost 100% of the cases where these private rail operators exist,
yes,
we manufacture and supply them with the wagons. We do know that we can be competitive on these railways.
You also have some smart technology, or maybe technology is not the right word. I mean, you also manufacture wagons where you have additional, you can have additional capacity, which, brings in its own efficiencies.
We come from a mining background as a company, and we've done a lot of research, especially for incline railways in mines, where weight is very important. So your tear to load ratio becomes very important. So we've done a lot of research with both a strong and durable materials. So in other words, very high strength steel with a high yield strength. So we've had many, many years experience building wagons from these high strength steels. And when you build a wagon from high strength steels, you can take away quite a few tons of weight from the wagon. And if you're restricted on your axle loading on your line, it means more tons can be loaded. This is something that wasn't really worried about too much in the past, except funny enough, on the coal and iron ore lines. And now that we're thinking about this, and our customers are really thinking about their returns, these lightweight wagons really come into their own. For instance, in northern Mozambique, we built grain wagons that weighed 6 tons less than our state-owned competitor, and as a result, we got the contract because on their axle restrictions, they were able to carry 6 tons extra per wagon.
And that's really where profit comes in.
Correct. And what's really encouraging with these, if the branch lines are opened up to private operators, a lot of these have quite low axle load restrictions. And the lower your axle load restriction, the more important the weight of the wagon becomes. So we do like to think that if wagons are bought for these lines, whether it be to transport grain, on lines in the Free State or other products on some of the timber, for instance, our lighter weight wagons will really come into their own. We are very excited for this to happen. I think I heard a colleague of mine in the industry say it's just an absolute win-win.
And it is.
Nobody loses here. Transnet, if they do this, earn revenue. The operators of the lines, the private operators, are able to make a profit. South African manufacturers are able to get busy manufacturing wagons again. And the end customer is able to get a more cost-effective transport solution with less trucks on the road.
Yes, and it's in that it becomes a win-win for everybody, from capacity, capability, jobs, and stimulating the economy.
Of course, there's also the green element.
Yes.
There's a, the factor of fuel consumption is in the, I'm not totally familiar with it, but it's, you talk about a factor of 1/3 of the amount of fuel per ton kilometer consumed. And that's also a massive factor in the thinking on these lines.